broadcasting from across the North American continent of the Terran Empire, bringing you our unpopular Star Trek opinions since 2020. This is Code 47.
Holy cow! We are back with episode 58 of the Code 47 podcast on the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. I am Trek Lord of West Michigan, your humble servant, Captain Charlie Carden of the USS Grand Petoskey chapter of the International Star Trek Fan Club. I am joined for the final time by my esteemed colleague, my guest host, who has brought nothing but love and joy to my heart. That would be Mr. Paul Moderman for the last segment of the Star Trek Sherpa. So, Paul, good evening.
The guest run, right?
The guest run, yes.
Yeah.
I will say with special guest star.
Special guest star, yeah.
Oh my God! So you're kind of the Catherine Pulaski of our show with special guest star. So oh my gosh! So yeah, this has been really something. This is episode 4, where we've embraced the format that Paul said to me when we were getting started. He says, I don't really know Deep Space Nine. I don't really know Voyager. We've got these 4 weeks, so let's split it down the middle. Give me 2 weeks of Voyager. Give me 2 weeks of DS9. Give me something awesome, and give me something that fucking sucks, and let's talk about it. And that is exactly what we've done.
And I gotta say, Charlie, it's worked too because even though every week you've given me something that makes me want to jump off a bridge, it really has, the good stuff is really good, and the bad stuff, since it's been like 1/3 bad, 2/3 good, right?
Right.
The bad stuff has made me go, okay, I can stomach that if I'm getting this mostly bulldozer of good stuff, right?
It's kind of like what is arsenic? You can take a little bit, it's not poison yet. We're getting there. My God! This is
you're doing for me like a Dread Pirate Roberts kind of thing, right? Where I'm just slowly taking tiny little bits over time to be inoculated of the poison, right?
Oh my God! Well, without further ado, because I want to maximize the time that we have. Yeah. We're going to jump right onto it. So again, this is the final segment. We're going to skip the news, even though we did get a nice photo dump of the season premiere photos for Star Trek Discovery, which is going to drop by the time you're listening to this next Monday, next Thursday, you're going to get that. So when the show comes back, because we've now gone bi-weekly, when the show comes back with my new co-host, we're probably going to be talking about a little bit about that. So we will reserve that. But look over on the Grand Petoskey socials on Facebook. And I should dump those on Twitter as well, and you can see those pictures. Otherwise, definitely visit our preferred media source for news, which is trekmovie.com, and you'll see that. So anyway, final week, Deep Space Nine. I've been giving you the heavy hitters. I've been giving you, the season premieres. I've been giving you the cliffhangers. But today I gave you, for the good, I gave you the series finale, which I feel bad because I really kind of feel like I should have done that for Voyager as well, because I really enjoy the Voyager finale. I think they did a lot, but I think that Deep Space Nine did a lot more in their series finale than any other Star Trek show has done. I think that they moved the needle more, that characters were here and now characters are over here.
Yeah, so, boy, did they just it was diaspora, right? It was just totally. I'm going to go do something else now, right?
Exactly. So let me read the quick summary. And again, I feel disadvantaged that this was part 9 of 9. The last 9 episodes of the series were this unbroken arc that started here. They introduced the Breen as a villain, and that was a surprise. And then you had the complete turnaround of the Cardassian revolution, which was obviously satisfied this episode. But anyway, in this last adventure, the Federation Alliance prepares for a final invasion of Cardassia. Meanwhile, on Bajor, Kai Wen releases the power rates from the fire caves, which threaten to destroy not only the safety of Bajor, but of the entire Alpha Quadrant. And again, this is part 9 of 9, and it is the series finale. And again, Paul, I would encourage you to jump back 9 episodes, even knowing how it ends. Just do yourself the favor of watching this whole deal, because it is just, and again, I've seen it so many times that I didn't watch it again because I hate to pat
It's
myself on
just
the back, but
planted. Yeah.
I don't need to, because
Yeah, it's planted.
you could ask me what happens in scene 14A, and I could tell you, because
Yeah.
this aired at the beginning of June of 1999, which is about a month after it was funny. I was just talking on Holocron Chronicles, the Star Wars podcast that I co-host with Mark Carabin, the Canardian, about Star Wars Episode 1, which came out at roughly the same time. And I said, what was going on in my life? I had gotten married for the first time. I eloped, horrified my parents, estranged my relationship from both of them. Marriage lasted about 2 years, got a son out of it. But and I graduated from college at the same time. So it was and was trying to start life as an adult and find a job. So this is totally fucking weird, bizarre period of my life. And we got Episode 1 and the end of Deep Space Nine. Just a lot of weird, crazy bullshit going on. But yeah, it was a weird period of my life. But without a doubt, this is one of the finest segments of Star Trek that exists, in my opinion. So
and so your recommendation to go back 8 episodes and like churn through the whole thing,
please,
really is good. And I can tell you, and like that is because like this episode, this kind of extended final thing, right, has so many like payoffs and tie-offs as you're going along, but it's still tastefully done, right? It's still like
right.
So the opening scene, I think, is Bashir, and he's laying down in bed with the new Dax,
right? Ezri Dax, yes,
yeah. And so clearly, if they've done the fun bits of as people do at the end of the previous episode, and Bashir goes, "It was a big night," and I was like, "Yeah, no kidding, buddy."
Well, it's funny because it was the culmination of his romantic infatuation with Jadzia Dax, throughout seasons 1 through 6. So, and it was the culmination of some other things that are hinted about within this 9-episode arc. So again, you'll see the fulfillment of that. Like I said, in my strongest recommendation, jump back to 9 episodes prior, and it's not hard to do the math. You'll figure it out to grab onto that episode. But it's absolutely worth those other 7 hours of your time to watch besides this 2-hour episode. But anyway, yes,
yeah. So then they did a great head fake too, or maybe it was a double head fake because either Bashir, I wrote down the quote. Didn't write, either Bashir or Ezri says, "It would be such a shame if something happened to one of us." So I was in my head, I wrote it down because I was like, "Oh no, someone's gonna die." Right?
It's too funny because I learned this exact thing in episode 1, talking about on Holocron Chronicles like 10 minutes ago when I was recording. I said it's the buddy cop speech. It was Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan saying, "Oh, Master, thank you so much for backing me up," and for Qui-Gon saying, "Oh, buddy, you're gonna do just fine. I'm so proud of." Oh, yeah, you're toast. Yeah, exactly. It's and what did my partner Mark say? He says, you know what? I'm too old for this shit, and I'm just 2 days away from retirement.
So there's lots of things. Like I said, lots of things flying around. This, of course, this is like end of the Dominion War,
right?
And then all the characters, of course, are tying up their things, right? So O'Brien has decided to leave, go off to like teach at Starfleet Academy.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. At first I thought, I don't think this is the case, but at first I wrote down, I was like, is he leaving Keiko and his kids on?
Deuces, bitch, I'm out.
Something about the way that it was first put out there tricked my brain, and I was like, wow, he's just leaving them, huh? Jeez. But that's not the case. But it was that.
No.
Sisko, of course, has a lover, wife, who is with child.
They were married in a subsequent episode, so that is his wife.
Okay. So who is with child? So that's like, of course, a big thing. One thing I wrote down here too is, as I was reflecting, because there's lots of space battles in this in this extended, and probably I'm assuming throughout this whole Dominion War stuff. But this episode has tons of space battles, right?
Magnificent, and admittedly some reuse footage, but still.
Oh yeah. So what I wrote down though is because I was reflecting on space battles, especially in Star Trek. They always seem unnecessarily tight together, right? If you have an enormous fleet full of ships who, even when they're not at warp, they can move at a reasonable fraction of the speed of light. Why would you all be within hugging distance of each other?
Because it looks fantastic. Need I say more?
Because I always thought that was a weakness of how Star Trek. I mean, you've got to show stuff, so I kind of get it. But it was always a weakness of how Star Trek did space battles. Was if I had a ship that could do those things, I wouldn't sit here and have the Klingon or whoever sit here and just poop torpedoes at each other. I'd be ducking and diving and dodging and whatever, right?
Right.
So anyway, I just thought it was one of those things. What I did note too. So Kira, Lieutenant Major Kira, maybe she's commander now, but Kira is on, she's on Cardassia,
right?
And she's kind of running some spy shit and stirring the pot there,
right?
And it turns out to be wearing one of those get-ups with the
the breen,
yeah. And I thought to myself, holy shit. Both the get up and the voice bear this slight resemblance to Return of the Jedi Leia.
Yeah, right? Totally. Bausch. Yeah, without a doubt.
And I was like, wow, well, look at that.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So I have a quick observation and then a question, and they're not related, but so the quick observation is, TNG DS9 Voyager have very similar inside a rocky cave aesthetics and sets. You know what I mean?
They called it Stage 16, aka Planet Hell. So it's no, they did. That was awesome. I believe that was coined in TNG, and again, all filmed on the same lot at Paramount Studios in the 90s. Right. It was just we never tore it down because it's the same rocky shithole. There we go. It's in the old show when Kirk and Spock and McCoy and Yeoman Johnson would beam down to a planet, and it was purple sky. You saw some shit in the background. Yeah. 14 different light sources all coming down on you. So it was so obviously a stage set at Desilu Studios. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just nothing about it that looked like it would have any bearing to any kind of real background. Yeah.
So the question I had, and this might go deeper and longer than we have time for, so cut it off if you need to.
Don't worry about it.
Cisco is the emissary.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, and again, it's piecemeal throughout. It's something.
Because I remember they seeded that in the first episode.
Oh, absolutely. So what it is that in the very first episode, Commander Cisco arrives on the station. He's kind of shanghaied by a religious official on the station that says, "You really need to go meet with our head religious person, the Kai of Bajor, basically the Archbishop, whatever it is, the head religious, the biggest hat. I was raised Catholics, and our entire religion is based on the size of hats. Yeah, that's what we do. What was it? Dennis Leary said, that Jesus must have a huge fucking sombrero. So that's it. That's us Catholics. So Cisco goes to meet with Kai Wynn, who's actress Camille. I can't. Her name. It's on the tip of my tongue, just like a classic character actress. Who introduces him to the orb? Not the orb of the emissary, because we do actually end up seeing that later in the series, but one of the orbs of prophecy that illustrates to him that he is foretold as the link between the wormhole aliens, or the prophets as the Bajorans worship them, the beings that inhabit the wormhole. And he is the link between the Bajoran people and these prophets, these aliens that inhabit the wormhole. And so bringing it full circle, and there are trickles of that throughout the series.
Sure,
but it's obviously, as you'll see by the end of this, his ultimate, because the prophets exist outside linear time. There's no past, present, or future. There is just everything.
Yeah.
And so when Benjamin Sisko is to be their prophet, and again, it's teased a little earlier in the season that Sisko is actually part wormhole alien because his mother, you'll see it was in the season premiere of season 7, his mother, the woman who gave birth to him, was inhabited by one of the wormhole aliens and mated with his father to cause his birth. Honest to God.
It's like a freaking Paul Atreides kind of thing here going on, right?
Exactly correct. Exactly. So he is, while Sisko is human, he is also part wormhole alien.
Wormhole alien. Okay.
So he was always destined to fulfill what you see happens in this episode.
And so now that I've seen this, and I'm sure there's follow-on, right? There's follow-on comics or novels or whatever to this.
Right.
Series.
All of which ironically are non-canon because that's a Star Trek thing.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah. It's not like Star Wars. Yeah, unfortunately.
How does it work out for Sisko in that timeline then post this episode?
Non-canonically, he does return. He returns to Starfleet. And it gets a little fuzzy. I will admit that I've not read absolutely everything. I fall victim to visiting. There's 2 wikis for Star Trek. There's Memory Alpha, which is canonical. There's Memory Beta, which is non-canonical. Okay. And so I've dabbled. I've read some of the post DS9 relaunch novels. Sisko's not really a part of the first wave. They bring in a lot of other characters, like they have an Andorian as a character. They bring back Ro Laren, who is from TNG, as a character. They bring back, actually, one of the regular characters is a Jem'Hadar, which is crazy. Yeah. So they do a lot of really interesting things in those novels, but again, none of it is canonical. So literally anything that they did can and will be contradicted by things happening in shows like Discovery or Picard or Lower Decks or the Prodigy was just debuted. So it's all, you think about it in the multiverse of madness, like in Marvel, that it's like, that's cool, it's a pocket universe, it's a different reality. It's not main continuity. It's like the JJ verse, which I'm glad it's over there because I don't want to talk about it. Out of the way.
Yeah,
gone.
Okay. So next thing I noticed, back on Cardassia Prime, Kira, she's like out of her disguise now, and she's wearing her Starfleet get up. Like, right. Why would you do that? Why would you even have your Starfleet garb sitting around if you're doing that?
I would imagine, they were hanging out in the basement of Garrick's childhood home. I would imagine the housekeeper that they had a replicator. So you're right. Why wasn't she just wearing Cardassian clothes, or wear a fucking potato sack?
Yeah. Just wear like anything but a Starfleet uniform. Which is like, hey, that's our enemy. Yeah. Shoot her now. Right.
Don't wear that. I am literally the sorest of thumbs. Look at me.
Yeah. This blue-eyed guy who's like the supplicant, like the worm tongue of the founder.
Wayoon, the head Vorta, and the Vorta, I'm trying to remember how much of it we saw in the other episodes you watched. The Vorta are a clone species that are supplicants to the Dominion. They're lieutenants. They're right hand men. But yeah, they're toadies. They're spineless, and they just effectively they walk around worshipping the founders and doing their bidding, but they're very slimy.
So I thought what I wrote down was, this blue-eyed supplicant guy is really convincing as a piece of shit. I was like, well done to that actor who convinced me that I don't like you.
Yeah, and what's spectacular is the actor is Jeffrey Combs. He had a great career not only before this. Have you ever seen the film The Reanimator? He was the scientist in that.
Okay.
But I know you run in circles with Rich, and he's the film guy. So I didn't know if that was one that ever came up. But Jeffrey Combs, even within DS9, played several other roles. But he went on to play a pretty prominent role as an Andorian in Star Trek Enterprise. He recently came back and did a voice role in Star Trek Lower Decks that was very amusing.
Oh yeah.
He's just great overall, and he's great on Twitter. So I would encourage you to follow him on Twitter. He's actually pretty fun. But super talented actor. But yeah, he played several different roles within within DS9, but this was his most prominent and his most, cringeworthy in its own way.
Hats off to that guy for being a piece of shit, because that was
Yeah.
well done.
he's a top shelf. Hey, I just found a name for the episode: Top Shelf Pizza S.
Beautiful. So I did note too, along the lines of what we touched earlier. This I know it's a series finale, but still it both weaves together and splits apart way more things than any other like finale that I've seen in this stuff. This is incredible. This is I like how DS9 feels like so you can take something like TNG and you can almost feel like this is like a slice of the time. This is like a slice of the stuff that happened. Like they keep doing the thing, right?
Right.
DS9 is like, no, it's not the same. It's like, this is the story and now it's done because everyone is now off to other stuff. I liked that. And it like, to me, that was what made the title of the finale really great, was what, like, they're leaving the show behind.
Right.
They're leaving each other behind. They're leaving behind, like, even like, just imagine a year in the future, they all come back and have like a, crew reunion, right? It still wouldn't be the same. Everything changed in that moment. And so they deliberately left behind the like one version, whatever, of the soul of DS9 that stays there and doesn't ever come back. Right.
Right.
So I thought that was well done in terms of both the series crafting and the naming of the episode. All that together was, to me, I was like, that's wonderful.
I like I said, even watching this for the first time 22 years ago, and even I will go back and check it out again because I'm way overdue.
Right.
It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I think what they did it was just a culmination of such great writing and such great build up to this spectacular finale that, and again, what you leave behind, you contrast it to the series finale of Star Trek: The Next Generation, all good things, because again, everything about TNG was great and we loved it, and it was, Star Trek was on every week and it was a great show and they're always doing great things. It was cool, but there was no real finality to it, where when this is, call TNG the Rolling Stones and then call the end of DS9 the Beatles in 1970. Breakup. Everybody, now all of a sudden we're getting McCartney plus, then it goes on to Wings, then we're getting John Lennon's Imagine, George Harrison's All Things Must Pass, whatever bullshit Ringo did.
Right.
Everybody's doing something else.
He's doing something else. Yeah. So at the end, after the major conflict here, Worf is named ambassador to Kronos.
Right.
And there's a new chancellor, newish chancellor of the Empire.
Yeah, and
did Worf help that guy? Like, was he like an arbiter of succession or whatever in that process?
It was an element of that, but I do not want to spoil it for you because that happens 1 or 2 episodes prior to this.
So it's very recent. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it happens in the absolutely most Klingon way, because remember, when a Klingon has a superior officer who is failing in his duty, what does a Klingon do? He kills that person.
Kills him. Yeah.
So you like I said, at your earliest convenience, jump back and watch them all, because I do not want to pepper you with little spoilers, but I'm telling you, I won't say every moment is used to its essence, but it's like it's 90% absolutely awesome, those 9 episodes. Building to this. And even the names of the episodes are epic. Tacking Against the Wind, Umbra, Penumbra.
Wow.
It's just oh God, dude. I if I wasn't going to be on the road all day tomorrow, I would start those 9 episodes
you just be
tomorrow.
Jumping right back in. Yeah.
But I'm going to make sure we're doing a convention this weekend for the chapter, and one of the things that we do is we play episodes on the television so that passersby can kind of get snagged by. We have a great setup. We have the captain's chair. We're going to have some other great new props, but we have the TV playing. One of the things I'm going to do during the peak period on Saturday is I'm going to play these 9 episodes. I'm going to start and I'm going to finish it. You have just inspired me.
Nice.
That's something that needs to happen. Absolutely.
So the thing I wrote down about that Worf and the Chancellor thing was like these Starfleet guys are all up in the chancellorship of the Klingon Empire, right? Picard was the Arbiter of Succession.
Right.
Worf has got something mysterious to do that I'll find out in a couple of days here. But like Starfleet is all over this Klingon High Council stuff. A couple more points on this episode. This is a general thing with lots of shows. Like, it's a little, I don't know if it's a pet peeve or not, but it's something I always grab onto it. Whenever somebody says, no, I have to do this myself. Why do you say that? Because Sisko says that to his lover before he goes back to the Caves of Fire to confront the guy. But like what? Why not bring Worf with you? Like, why does it have to be just you? Like, why not bring like 6 other dudes with phasers?
Yeah, bring a security team. He's a captain.
Yeah,
and captains aren't. But that's kind of a Starfleet regulation that when it comes to a dangerous away mission, the first officer is supposed to go. But no, I got to do this myself so that I can die or whatever. Because it's just a super opposite setup.
He's gonna be a father soon. Like, he's got all this stuff there. I didn't see an actual reason for him to go alone. So hey Worf, you're a Klingon warrior. Before you jet off to Kronos, maybe just come help me take care of this thing right here real quick, buddy. Like, come on, doesn't have to be alone.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to go in solo to take on the big bad.
Big bad.
Exactly.
Why? Just
right. You're right, and that was a very prototypical kind of excuse me, kind of deal. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Kira, I noticed that Kira in her send off with Odo, she got to have an I know Han Solo moment.
Yeah.
That was great. I was like, nice job, Kira. She gets a Han Solo moment. And of course, the final line of the series, fittingly by Quark, he says, "It's like I said, the more things change, the more they stay the same." And that's
life. Yeah.
It's a great little bow on the thing.
Right.
So I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of even just this taste here without every single detail of the back stuff. I'm like hooked in, right? So this is awesome. So my question to you, as always, Charlie, is for you, what makes this a great chunk of DS9?
I would say, kind of without qualification, kind of what I touched on before. This is the only finale where you see, like in life, we all have relationships that end. And I'm not just talking about I've been divorced before.
Yeah.
My life changed. I moved on. My ex moved on. We had kids and the dynamics changed and those kind of things. But, we even have friendships that end, or certainly people who are in the military, you have an assignment that ends and then you move on and you're doing something else. The end of this series, unlike any other, though, the end of Voyager was, and if you haven't watched it, I don't want to spoil it, but it had a sense of continuation, because the series moved from this part to this part. But it's like, TOS had no real ending. It was just, there was an episode and it was over. The show got canceled.
Yeah.
TNG had this thing happened, but we're still going to keep doing our thing and we're going to go off into the movies. Great. Enterprise had it's history and this thing happened and blur, 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 this thing and that thing. And then it was the Federation instead of just Earth. Whatever. And then the other shows are still ongoing. But this is the only show currently, I feel, and I kind of liken it to Battlestar Galactica, the Ron Moore version of it, which I revere. And ironically written by the same guy. Ron Moore was involved in obviously both projects, where you have an ending that you just go, that is an ending.
That's the end. Yeah.
It's very final. Sure, there are always other stories to be told, but as far as what we've been engaged with for 7 years with these 7-8 characters that we've had, that story has come to its conclusion. It's
Yeah.
done. It's very final. It's the Beatles breaking up. It is not the Rolling Stones going, well, so and so died, so let's bring in another guy and keep
Yeah.
making albums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very final, and I like it that, like life has seasons, and this is the end of a season, specifically season 7. But it's the end of an era. And I like that they treated it in a way that I felt was very realistic. So I think
Yeah.
they did a good thing.
This was good stuff.
It was
Let's
good
move
stuff.
on. Now that we've floated to the clouds.
There is always a yin with the yang, whether you want to call the white good or the black good or the white bad or the black bad. I'm going to take you all the way back to season 5. This was an early episode. I didn't have the number. Let he who is without sin. Wow. Okay. So while Worf, Dax, Bashir, Lita, and Quark vacation on Risa, the famous pleasure planet of Starfleet, established in the Captain's Holiday episode of TNG back in season 3 of that show.
Yep.
Worf decides to join a radical fundamentalist group determined to start a political revolution on Risa. Wow.
This one, like,
yeah.
I think I disliked this one more than I disliked the previous bad one from DS9.
Really? So disliked it more than the move along home with the game? Yeah.
With the weird game. But this one I disliked. Like, I think it's kind of in the same par of like kind of shitty writing and like, they've got some weird like plot choices. But it also makes you, it also like drives. So not only is it just bad writing, it also harms your perception of characters, right? Because essentially in this episode, Worf joins the space Taliban. Like, I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Like, Worf gets converted to extremism and like sabotages a thing. So I wrote down, I was like, first of all, Worf should face disciplinary something for what he did. Like he sabotaged major equipment as wearing a Starfleet uniform on this planet. Worf absolutely, like, to me, I think I put it this way. The episode's bad with bad writing and stuff, and there's other things I'll get into too. But like this episode harms the character of Worf.
Right. And again, a heritage character that we've had for, at this point, almost 10 years through 2 series. Worf is the character that has the single most screen time of any other Star Trek character. If you think about it, he was on 7 seasons of Star Trek: The Next Generation, 4 movies, and then 4 seasons of Deep Space Nine, seasons 4, 5, 6, and 7. So there's no other character that we've seen more than Worf.
Yeah, and this episode completely just like pulls him away from like core things you think about Worf, right?
Right.
So it's bad. And so aside from that, he's a cranky asshole. He's like I don't know. He's kind of just sort of. He's got this like controlling boyfriend thing going on that's just not a good look,
Yeah, he does. He acts like kind of the captain of the football team, kind of fucking dickhead. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just like what are you doing?
It's just, it sets up Worf wrong. So, but let's rewind to the beginning here, because there's like it's a Cisco and Odo just kind of sitting around chatting. Even that was bad dialogue. It just poorly written. But then Jadzia shows up, and she's like, "Oh, ouch, my ribs," and all this kind of stuff. And you come to find out, and I hated this. You come to find out that she and Worf are showing up in sickbay all the time because they've been fucking too, like, weird.
They've been fucking too much. Yeah,
they've been fucking too much. Like, man.
I mean, this whole episode has that horny teenage. It's like a disgusting 80s sex comedy. It's like it's like Porky's. This movie, this episode is like Porky's.
it's like because there's a thread here that you could follow that would make this both the Worf and Jadzia, but also like Risa itself. There's a thread here you could follow that says, okay, this is part of the future of the human race and other races is to sort of be more accepting of our bodies and our sexuality, and that's great. But this does nothing for that. This doesn't do that. This sets it up as weird garbage with like possessive boyfriend
Right.
and like hurting yourselves having sex and all this weird stuff. Even this wonderful thing, Bashir and his like girlfriend or whatever. She's Bajoran girlfriend, I forget her name. And
Lita.
yeah, they do this like tea ceremony or whatever of like breaking up, and it's all wonderful. And then like it just goes sour because she goes, now I can finally be honest about my feelings. But that's like you should have been honest before. And it completely like both her and Bashir completely wreck the awesome nature of like, hey, we're not dating anymore. Who cares, right? Like that by itself is like great. That's like who wouldn't want to break up like that, right? But
Right.
then she decides to say one thing, and he gets all jealous when he had been kind of trying to play it cool, as he was like, "It's just the end, man. Whatever's good. I'm gonna go over here and you know bang some hot chicks on Rise or whatever." That's just not. It unsticks all that stuff. That was. This is like there's so that Worf. Here's another thing. It didn't even happen on screen. Well, part of it happened on screen, but didn't. It was suggestive, and here's what it was. They're like, okay, we're on Rise, great, let's go. We're gonna go swimming or whatever, and you see Worf pull up like a gold speedo thing, right? And he never even puts it on, but just him holding up this gold speedo thing, you're like, oh man, is that what he like? It's too late now. That's in my head. It's in my head now. I can't not see Worf in gold speedo now because I saw it on the screen there, right?
You keep making me change the name of this episode. So I had Space Porkies, but now it's Worf in Gold Speedo.
Worf in gold speedo. Like, is it like a ceremonial Klingon warrior speedo? Is it going to have like a batleth attachment for his schlong or something like?
Oh
Just
my God.
it's just I don't know. It's just
Oh my God.
so
I don't know, man. But yeah, I just, there's always going to be, and again, in the old days, TV series had, anywhere between 22 and 26 episodes, particularly
yeah.
something in syndication. They had to space that out between September and May. So, you had, several weeks where you had repeats or whatever.
Yeah.
And, that was a way of life for us. But, when we look at things now, it's just, it's like when the wife and I sit down to watch a show, we're like, all right, what came out today? What is new on Hulu this week? Okay, well,
Yeah.
there's this episode of the show that we follow. But, so they can make things infinitely more finite and not just have to be like, oh shit, we got to produce 26 episodes. Some are going to be great, some are going to be shit. And it's not to say that if you go from 26 episodes to 10 episodes, that some aren't going to be kind of shittier than others, but they will follow more of a theme. But this followed, like you said, to try to deconstruct, like, oh, there was the thing in this episode that had lasting impression was you realize why Worf was so reserved and why he was so prudish is because when he was a kid, he played soccer and he jumped up to hit a soccer ball along with another kid and he headbutted the other kid and the other kid, he broke his neck and the kid died.
Yeah.
That's super sad and kind of a boner killer for being on Risa.
Yeah.
Yikes, what a downer. But if you think about it, it's kind of the only thing of value in this episode at all, character development wise, that you have any understanding of a character's like, what's my motivation? Why is Worf such, why is he such a stiff? When other Klingons are like, rawr, blood wine and rough sex and rah, 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 rah.
That is something that I did note that too. I did because I had never put words to like Worf is as Klingons go, Worf is really boring.
Yeah.
right? As Klingons go, Worf is boring because and now you get some of the why here, right?
Right.
Because he still wants to be like drinking and smashing things and like, you know, killing stuff and whatever, but he's like, if I let go, my skull will crack human heads open or whatever. You know, like
Yeah. Right.
he doesn't
Exactly.
do that. You know, so like you get that, but like it's kind of too bad that it takes this long to understand why Worf is such a kind of a kind of a butthole clenched tight ass guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
Little too anal, little too
yeah,
OCD,
yeah,
little too Starfleet, little too,
yeah,
the fact that he was raised by humans, and so
yeah,
he's a little stiff.
yeah,
Yet he kind of straddles the line because he's also this big Klingon warrior and can kill you with his pinky finger, and he's just a
yeah,
super duper badass. So yeah,
yeah,
that making Worf really the most interesting character, certainly in TNG. Though Data did really in TNG reflect that non-human who reflects on humanity role that was coined by Spock, and subsequently in
yeah,
DS9 it was Odo. But then in a lot of ways it's Worf as well. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
this you're right. This episode did nothing to serve any of the main
No,
characters, and it was farcical and insulting.
it like even Jadzia doesn't come out unscathed here, right? Because you're
Right,
like he's being a dingleberry. Like, why are you just like
right,
why are you putting up with that shit? You know?
right.
Yeah. So
Totally.
this is I think this is actually a unique episode. This is this is a good one to end on in the Sherpa journey here. It's a good bad one. Let me say
Right.
because
Okay.
I think this is the more I reflect on it, this is the worst bad episode that you've given us in the sense of the damage it does to the show, right? So, in other words, like this the salamander sex between Janeway and Paris, like that's bad because it's ridiculous and hilarious, right?
Right. Right.
You don't actually I don't think the characters themselves are really all that harmed. In
Right.
this case, the writing is so bad and the episode itself is so bad that you're like that it scars you the viewer's perception of several characters in the show. You know what I
Right.
mean? So in my wrap up, I'm saying here's what I'm going to say. This is the worst bad one of the bad ones that you have handed out. So
Intense.
so
Intense.
you saved the worst bad one for last. Well done
And
on that.
and ironically, this episode guest stars pop singer Vanessa Williams,
Vanessa Williams, yeah.
who once had a song "Save the Best for Last." So this is the end of that. It's absolutely upside down for that shit.
It's the worst best.
We did not say, though. Ironically, I think we saved the best series finale and single episode
Yeah.
of DS9. So you're right. This, in some ways, represents the very best of all and the very worst of all.
Yeah.
In this long, frankly, I find it to be an accomplishment.
So it's like here's
Pat
what we
myself
did.
on the back.
Here's what we did, Charlie. We reached the summit and then we threw ourselves off into the pit and died on the craggy rocks at the bottom. That's what happened. So
that is it's the circle of life. It's the wheel of fortune. You're welcome. Oh my God, that actually brings our journey to an end, Paul. This has been just an unprecedented accomplishment for the show, and again, we're a little over a year into recording the show. We're going into a transitional period where we're going to be bringing on some new talent besides myself, because my previous co-hosts have moved on to other projects. So this was a great transition, and so I just absolutely can't thank you enough. Your insight and your thoughtfulness and how completely you approach this project has been an enormous asset to this program. So I'm very thankful. You did great. I had a lot of fun. So thank you. God, I'm very grateful.
Charlie, right back at you. Like, I'm glad we came up with the Sherpa thing because you took me to a place I hadn't been with these shows, and like I have both appreciations and stomach gut clenchers.
Revulsion. Oh my gosh.
Appreciation and revulsion of these series that I hadn't really dipped much. I hadn't done much other than sort of dip my toes in.
You
Right, so
had
I've walked away. I've walked away with something here too, for sure.
absolute hateful respect. I love that. So, finally, before we part company, where do people find you on social media? Where are you?
So you can follow me on Twitter at Paul Moderman. I'm on LinkedIn too, and that's mostly professional stuff.
Boo! Who cares?
Yeah. I am starting, by the time this episode releases, I'm starting a new newsletter with a friend of mine. It's about work stuff, but like tech, enterprisey stuff. It's going to be called the Boring Enterprise Nerd Letter. So
Nice.
Google that when you hear this episode. And I do a podcast for work called Switched On with Paul Moderman and James Wood. So search for that.
Woo! Nice, very good, awesome. Well, my God, thank you again, and let's get you back in here whenever it works for your schedule. But again,
100%.
A couple of housekeeping things. We will be going to a biweekly format. Life sometimes kind of forces you to do that. I have a new job. And a lot of other things going on a personal level, so it's going to make more sense for us to do that. But the new show is going to bring in some new talent. We're going to tweak up the format a little bit. We're going to go back to talking about some little bit more classic Trek. It was my goal when I started the show that I wanted to find a way to touch every single episode of Trek by the time we finally gave up and quit doing the show. So I'm going to move forward with that goal. I'm going to have some new people joining me. I don't want to spoil it. I want you to tune in, but it's going to be some new voices that you've not heard before. Well, one that you've heard before, but one that you haven't. So it's going to be pretty fun. So at any rate, Paul, thank you again.
Yes.
Really appreciate it, my friend, and we'll have you back. But I'm going to tell everyone out there, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring and to keep on trekking.
Code 47 is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for our great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, or the podcast platform of your choice. If you would like to be part of the conversation, visit our new Discord server, or join us on Facebook, or follow us at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends on YouTube, and don't forget to visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.